start with a small prayer. We normally say we set our mind, we calm our mind, we come from different contexts. So we go through a 30-second total silence with closed eyes, and then we do a small prayer, and then we start. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Pranams, namaskaram to everybody. Thank you so much for joining the session. This is the first of the 3 introductory sessions. So let me share my presentation. A couple of you can confirm to me if you can see my presentation.
Yes, Ranga.
Yes, Ranga.
Yes, Ranga.
Is it in? Can you see it in full screen mode?
It's like, yeah, now it's full screen.
Right. Thank you so much. Pranams and welcome once again. Right. This is the first introductory session. Thanks to Maitreyi and Suresh Raju, who has designed this beautiful landing page for our YouTube, but also this will be our cover page. This conveys a lot of meaning in terms of the journey itself, where we have a lot of confusion in the head and we go to clarity. And to get to that clarity, we need our scriptures and we need somebody to interpret them correctly. Then, of course, the opening prayer that I made, which is Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu, is also said here. Being the first introductory session, I would also like to spend a minute as to why this prayer is chanted beginning of any learning, right? In fact, some of you who are into yoga would have seen in yoga classes also people chant this. Right? So this simply means it's a very beautiful prayer, which is in Taittiriya Upanishad in Yajurveda, which says, may God protect us both, the teacher and the student, because learning journey can be dangerous also, right? I mean, a lot of emotions can be flowing, you can have disagreements. So the first step of the prayer is to say, Om Sahana Vavatu, which means basically may God protect us both, the teacher and the student. Second, may God nourish us both. I mean, see, we are investing our time, right? In fact, I'm investing my time as much as you're investing your time. We are not here to waste this time, because this time, this 1.5 hours will never come back in life. So it's important that we go back nourished. Nourishment is a very deep and powerful word, right? It is not just about motivation. It is not about energizing. Something which is meaningful, which is long-standing, right? So may God nourish us both. The second part, Sahano Bhunaktu. Then may we work together with energy and vigor. It is a teamwork, right? It's not that there's somebody who's telling something and you're listening. No, it's a teamwork. So may we work together with energy and vigor. Energy and vigor is not that you have had a long day and you just come here with no energy. You're in WhatsApp, you're also doing parallel processing, or you put your video on mute, your audio on mute. Nobody knows what we are doing, right? And so there is no energy in the learning process. There is no energy. Suppose I have very similar attitude that I got to just complete the session, then there is no energy in me. So maybe work together with energy and vigor, the third part of the shloka, the Shanti mantra. Then may our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. It's a very interesting thing, because unless disagreeing points of view are discussed, knowledge is never got. Tarka is a very popular ancient method of deliberation, discussion, asking questions, provoking questions, and then responding to it. We should be able to differ with each other with respect rather than with hostility. So this study that we are embarking on should enlighten both of us, not just you, not just me. It should enlighten both of us and not give rise to hostility. And of course, there is Om Shanti, 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 which is the peace. Being the first session, I thought I will explain this for those of you who may not know the meaning, right? For those of you who know the meaning, thanks for your patient listening for the reinforcement, right? But this is the shloka with which we'll start every session because it's a very deep prayer to the Almighty, and then we move on. Once more, we are on full screen mode, and am I audible?
Yes, Ranga.
Thank you. Just a quick recap for those of you who missed the launch session. Very, very quick 2 minutes recap. We said the purpose of this entire journey is not to understand, shloka by shloka, Bhagavad Gita or Brahma Sutras. That's not the objective. The objective is how can we utilize a fantastic logical text called Vedanta to live a life joyfully and peacefully. The heaven is here and now. It's not that we die and then we go to a place called heaven, right? The heaven is here and now, and so we need to experience it. To experience life with full, energy, joyfully and peacefully. I think that's the objective of the journey. Let's be very clear. It's not about just unscrambling some text, right, which is very remote, and then you write an exam and you get some grades on, Isha Upanishad or Kaivalya Upanishad. No, that's not the idea, right? Second, it's a systematic study. It's not like you don't go to YouTube and watch some random videos here and there. Yeah, they are very powerful videos conveying meaning, but then they're not stitched together. It's like a bunch of flowers, right? It's not garlanded together nicely. So we need a systematic study. We need to approach it from a logical point of view, right? So systematic study of our scriptures, right? We are not studying any self-help kind of situation. We are here clearly focusing on scriptures, and for a length of time. Yes, it's going to consume time. It's not an overnight journey. So it's not a T20 cricket. It's a much longer time kind of a game. For a length of time under the guidance of a competent Acharya. I also clarified that Acharya itself is a big word, and I'm only a facilitator in the journey. So this is what we saw. And we also said from no God, non-belief to many gods, everybody is a god, to only one God, which is my God, your God. My God is superior, your God is superior. We go through all the stages of growth in our life. And then we go through questions like, is God really required? Is just a God a concept? And then we break off all those myths, and then we come to a statement which is, there is only God. Like Einstein said, there is only energy everywhere, there's only God. We stopped it yesterday, the last session here. And we highlighted that word God to say, I think this is something we need to really understand, right? So welcome to the introductory session. This is just a gist of what we already did. Now, what is this God? Who is this God? Right. Is it a person? If it's a person, then who created this person? Then that person becomes God. And who created that person? So we go into a very a kind of a infinite kind of a loop, which is very regressive, right? And we don't find an answer that. I mean, is it a person, first of all? Second, is this person sitting in some kind of a geographical location with a zip code or a pin code? In which case, who created that location where this person is, right? And then again, we go into a recursive kind of a loop as to those questions. Third, we need to ask whether this person, how does this person operate? Does this person operate through a unique IP address, right? What does it do? Then I think we need to understand God from a very practical sense, because that's a starting point of this entire study, right? In fact, I distinctly remember I was dealing with a group of children, and one of the child asked me a question, Uncle, is there God? I said no. And that's it. Not only that kid, a few other kids were completely disturbed. They said, how can we say this? And they got into a very angry mode. Then I asked them to pause. They were teenagers, 16, 18 years. So I just asked them to pause and said, can you please look through and find out where your anger is coming from? Why are you upset by my answer? That means you are expecting a different answer, even though the very fact that you asked this question itself indicates that you had a doubt. And you expected a different answer, which you were ready to counter. But when I gave you an answer which is no, now you're getting upset, right? So I think it's important that we clarify this for our own adult mind, because when we are not clear on the adult mind, we will not be able to explain to children a little more effectively, right? So is God a person? Then we get into recursive loop. Is a God in a specific location? We get to a recursive loop. Does he operate? How does he or she operates? We get into a recursive loop. I think we need to understand this first of all, right? Then we get into God, Godder, Goddess. So because if God was created by somebody, then that person is Godder than this God. Then you get into a goddess, kind of a relative description of people, right? So I think the first lessons that we were taught is God is a creator, God is a maintainer, God is a destroyer. Okay. So what is this process called shrishti? I think this is where we need a lot of clarity. So let me start with this concept of shrishti. Right? Let's go a little physics here, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. We saw in earlier session that everything that is there is energy. It's vibrating particles, right? It's matter. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. No, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. We have studied this in school. We studied this in college, and Einstein, through various studies around this, also got a Nobel Prize, right? The law of conservation of energy and matter. So if energy cannot be created, destroyed, if matter cannot be created, destroyed, what does our scriptures say? Our scriptures say precisely the same thing, right? That nothing is created in this world at all. There is no creation, right? So we'll come to the whole concept of why the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva came into being, why those stories were constructed, all that a little later. But I think it's important to know at this point in time that according to our scriptures and according to science, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed, right? Even death in a human being is considered as a rejuvenation. It's a continuous journey that we're actually talking about, right? Now, we need to understand God versus shrishti, right? You must be wondering, what is this? What the hell is this? Right? Or we can say, what the heaven is this? Right? What is this? Don't worry about it. We can call it by any name. I just put together 10 alphabets without a vowel. That's all. It's just constructed word. It looks very much like what your eye doctor will show you when you go for eye test, right? So the message I'm trying to convey is you can use any word in its place. Doesn't matter, right? So I'm going to use a word just for convenience. I just wanted to let you know we can use any word, as difficult as this word to pronounce, right? So we will understand God versus godliness. We said there is only God. That's what we said. Only God. What? There's nothing else anywhere else. Okay. Let us eliminate the possibility it's a person, eliminate a possibility that it's a thing. And then we talk about it as a concept. Then we need a word which is different from God, which sounds, it's a noun, it sounds like a person. Right? So we use something called godliness. Godliness exists everywhere. So we go about the whole study in a very, very, very logical sense. Right? I'm going to slow down my speech from now on because we are going to talk about something which is a little more deeper. When I got into Vedanta, my cousin, who is a Vedanta teacher for several decades, lives in the US. He wrote a mail to me saying, Ranga, welcome to this wonderful world of logic. And he said, I was in software at that time. He said, when a software engineer or a computer guy or anyone who's into logic, when they come to Vedanta, that's the biggest addiction they can have. And he was right. I realized this 10 years later, right? Because when we seek logic, when we seek questions and answers in a very logical way, there cannot be a subject which is more tuned to that as compared to Vedanta, right? So I will slow down and I'll go a little slower. So God versus godliness. Let's first understand godliness. We eliminate the noun called God, and then we say what is all pervading is godliness, and what is this godliness all about? Right? What you see here is a bunch of seeds. These sessions that I'm doing are more suited for a face-to-face, in-person kind of a session where we all can get into an engagement of inquiry and discussion. But given the fact that we are spread all over the world, and given the fact that we do have a constraint in travel and other things, we are trying to do the best out of the technology which is available to us, and hence it is more of a one-way kind of a description. It's my responsibility to keep you engaged. It's equally your responsibility to keep yourself engaged in the process, right? So because we're talking of something which is very deep, and I think when we present it in a logical way, it's easy to understand. But I may have my own gaps in my logic. Okay, please note down your questions as it comes when I'm discussing something. At the end, we will have about 20-25 minutes, and we can have a Q&A and sort it out. Right now, you see a bunch of seeds here. Why am I showing seeds? These are, by the way, pumpkin seeds. It's also called as ash god, right? The seed manifests to become a tree. Let me repeat the word. The seed manifests to become a tree. Right? From the tree comes the same seeds again, and then the whole cycle continues. Right? Okay. We can call the seed as a tree. Like I look up the seed and say, I see a tree inside. Am I right? Am I wrong? I just look up the seed and say, I see a tree inside. Am I right? Am I wrong? I am right and wrong. I am right because the seed has the potential to become a tree. I am wrong because the tree is right now not inside. Okay, so I'm wrong also. Right? So we can call the tree, we can call the seed a tree in an unmanifest state. Okay. The seed is in a state. What is a state? It's in an unmanifest state. Unmanifest of what? It's a tree in an unmanifest state. The same way, we can call the tree also as a seed, but in a manifest state. The seed is in a manifest state, right? So effectively, shrishti, when we talk about shrishti or creation, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. What really happens is something moves from a manifest state to an unmanifest state, or from an unmanifest state to a manifest state. That's all is happening. When it moves from unmanifest to manifest, we call it a creative process. When it moves from manifest to unmanifest, we call it a destructive process. When it grows in the manifest state, we call it maintenance, whatever you might want to call it, right? In fact, I still remember one of my friends when he joined the company. We have a open house where every new employee is supposed to introduce themselves. He introduced himself as God. Everybody was surprised. Then he said, "I'm God. What? My job is I create software, I maintain software, and I destroy it also. I delete." So it's very interesting because the whole concept needs to be understood from the point of view of nothing is getting created, nothing is getting destroyed. Things are moving from unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest, right? For example, the whole tsunami that happened some years ago, or the corona that happened now, were in unmanifest state before, and it just manifested. That's it, right? There are so many other things that are yet to be manifested in us, which will manifest maybe in the future. Right? So what is actually happening in the whole universe is a change of state, and it's a continuous change of state from unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest. What is required is basically time and conditions. When the time comes, when the conditions are provided, the manifest state happens by itself, right? We don't have to do much. It just happens, that's all. When we talk about seed, it's all the same. You can look at it as an egg, right? For example, there is an egg which comes out. From the egg comes a new life, right? Even for a human being, yeah? The origin of an embryo in a human being, we call it egg, right? So from the egg, everything in the egg is in an unmanifest state, and when it blows up, when it grows up, when it is born, it's manifest. In fact, the whole universe is also manifested from an egg, right? In fact, in Hindi, we call egg as anda. So when we talk about an individual manifest, moving to a manifest state, we call it pinda anda. And when the whole universe manifests from its own egg, we call it Brahma anda, which is Brahmanda, right? So everything is moving from a seed or an egg state to a fully intelligent, mature state, which we call manifest. Now, when we talk about godliness, what we are talking about is the intelligence. Like the egg, the seed has the intelligence to become a tree. You don't have to teach a seed how to become a tree, right? Similarly, you don't have to teach an embryo how to grow and how to be born, how to push itself out and how to be born. You don't have to teach it, right? You don't have to teach a planet to revolve around the sun. No, right? You don't have to teach a tree how to grow against gravity upwards and stay rooted, right? You don't have to teach a dog how to bark. So basically, the intelligence is built inside the seed, and it is that intelligence which is manifesting, right? So we need to understand that when we talk about godliness, the godliness is there everywhere. We say it is this intelligence which is there everywhere, right? Now, in fact, it's very interesting. I was waiting in a hotel in Cochin, and there was a Malayalam channel in which there was a spiritual person talking. But with my broken Malayalam knowledge, I could still follow the essence of what you're saying. He was being interviewed by an American journalist, and the journalist told him that in our culture we ask a lot of questions, but Indians, you guys don't ask questions. Then he just smiled and said, "Our entire Upanishad is full of questions and answers," right? He said, "No, we guys, our scientists asked a question. For example, Newton asked a question: why is an apple falling?" And we discovered gravity, right? So the spiritual person asked him, "Are you saying gravity did not exist before Newton?" He said, "No, gravity must have been existing." He said that even for Newton to be born in this world, we need gravity because childbirth cannot happen without gravity, right? And calmly, the spiritual person countered that question by saying, "You asked a question why an apple is falling and you discovered gravity. Fantastic. We asked a different question. We asked, how is a tree growing against gravity upwards? And we discovered divinity, right? See, I think everything is a question only. But what kind of questions do we ask? We can ask questions just to debate, just to argue with somebody, or we can ask very profound, deep questions with a view to understand, right? So our entire scriptures is driven through such questions, right? Unimaginable set of questions. In fact, only when I read Upanishads did I know, oh, I can't even think of the kind of questions that are being asked there, right? So effectively, everything is just moving in state from unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest, right? When a human death happens, the physical body dies. A lot of things go back to an unmanifest state, and the same thing manifests again, possibly in a different body. So we will see all this when we come to the Sharira Trayam. A lot of topics that which have been lined up, and like human body is not only physical body, Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. So we have to understand all this in a very structured, systematic way so that we understand. So I am right now only exposing the concept to you, right? So no creation is happening. there is no shrishti. Right? Let's be clear. The word shrishti is a very powerful word. It simply means moving from unmanifest to manifest, nothing more. Right? Okay. One of my favorite authors, Richard Buck, in his book Illusions, the Messiah, is a beautiful quote, a quote which I really, really like. It says, it's easy to count the seeds in an apple, but who can say how many apples are there in a seed? Absolutely, we can't say. One seed can produce an apple tree which gives you a million apples, and then it gives you 5 million seeds, and from those 5 million seeds, another 100 billion apples come. So who can say how many apples are there in a seed? For example, who can say what is your potential in this world? Right? I mean, today, unleashing your potential, it's $1 billion industry. I've seen Facebook ads which say, you come to me, I will unleash your potential. But nobody can unleash the potential because you don't even know what is it that you and I can do in this world. Right? We don't know. And since it is a don't know kind of a field, how can somebody say, I'll unleash your potential completely? 100%. Right? And there is a money back guarantee also on it in one of the Facebook ads. If you come in 1 week, if you don't unleash your full potential, money back guarantee. Right? So let's understand this well. Everything is in a potential form which gets manifest. That's it. It changes state. Right? That's what is happening 24/7, millions and billions and billions of years from in the past, and that is what will continue to happen millions and billions and billions of years into the future. Right? Okay. So what is this intelligence that I'm talking about? Right? Is this intelligence organized? Yes, it is beautifully organized, wonderfully organized, and there is a logic to it. Okay, I am going to expand on this logic slowly. Okay, everything around you see, there is a physical order. When I say order, I am not using that word in the context of command. No, I ordered him to sit down. No, that's not what I mean. Order means there is a sequence, there is a structure, that kind of an order. The room is very orderly. That means the room is very structured. Things are in its place, right? Everything in its place, a place for everything. That's the meaning of saying everything is orderly, right? So I'm using the word order in that sense. Right? There is a physical order you see around. What's the meaning of physical order? There is an anatomy to everything. Human being, there is an anatomy, beautiful anatomy. There is a vertical line. If you draw, there is symmetry on both sides, right? One hand this side, another hand that side. One leg this side, another leg that side. All single parts are in the middle. Of course, heart is on only one side, it's a single part. We'll come to that, exceptions. But exceptions are also part of the rule. Heart is on the left side, physical heart is on the left side. Physical heart is on the left side for everybody. So which means there is an order to it, right? There is an anatomy for a human species. There is an anatomy for an animal. There is an anatomy for a plant. There is an anatomy even for mountains, right? And that anatomy does not change. Right? Now, this is the physical order, right? For example, a mango seed can become only a mango tree. You can't say, I will use a very high quality fertilizer, I put it into a high quality soil, and I expect an apple tree to come out of mango. No, mango seed, no. There are well-defined structures, I think we need to know, which you can call them part of the structure, or you can call them as limitations, however you look at it. But there is a physical order to everything, including the planets which are there, right? Second, there is a physiological order, which is not physical, which means you cannot touch it. You cannot see it by your eyes. You cannot, so there is a limitation to the 5 senses. So it moves from physical to physiological order. I'm going to expand on each of this in the coming slides a little more slowly, right? There is a physical order, there's a physiological order. Then there is a psychological order, right? There is psychology involved. How you deal with a dog? How do you deal with an elephant? How do you deal with another human being? How do you deal with a snake? Right? How do you deal with ocean? How do you deal with tsunami? Now, if you look at it carefully, everywhere there is a lot of psychology involved, and there is a psychological order, right? Then there is emotional order. Right? Emotions are built into us. Emotions are built into an animal. In fact, emotions are built into the whole cosmos, right? In fact, what is this corona? If you look at it carefully, it is nothing but an expression of anger of the cosmos at what we have done, right? But when another human being in front of me is angry, from his body language, I can find out he's angry. From the tone of his voice, I can find out he's angry. But when nature is angry, I don't interpret that as anger, but there is an emotion there, right? So I think the fourth order that we have to look at is an emotional order, and last is, of course, the cosmic order. Are these the only 5 orders? Answer is no. I am just introducing you to this topic. There are many other orders which are there, which we will unfold as we move along into this journey, right? But at this point in time, we just need to know that everything is structured. What is this everything? The intelligence is structured. The intelligence of a seed is structured, right? And structured into 5 components. Now let's look at each of these components a little more in detail, just a little more in detail. First, physical order. Plants have a physical order. Every species of animal has got a physical order, anatomy. Mountains have a physical order. The planets have a physical order. There's a physical element to this whole order, right? Something that you can touch, something that you can feel, something that has got weight, mass, right? Right? You can call them matter. So all of this is there in the physical order. Physiological order, the reflexes that we have. Like you tap a child, the child cries. Brain is not involved. The reflexes. When a newborn baby, you offer your finger, it will grip it, right? In fact, in many families, it's a custom to give a currency note, a 100 rupee or a 200 rupee to a kid, and the kid will hold it tight, right? Now, who taught the kid that it should hold an object that is given to it? It's too young. It's just born. It didn't attend any college. It didn't attend any nursery school, right? To know that it has to grip. Where is that knowledge coming from? Or when a newborn deer, right? As soon as it is delivered, how does it know it has to stand up? It stands up in the next 2 minutes. It starts walking in the next 5 minutes. It starts suckling immediately. How does it know where to reach for the milk? How does it know it has to suckle? So all the reflexes that we have, right? In fact, including the magnetism and electricity, which are all the reflexes of the whole cosmos. The whole cosmos is driven by 2 powerful forces. One is magnetic force, another is electricity. Electricity is a push force. Magnetism is a pull force. Right? Planets are going around the sun using the magnetic energy. Right? So all of this is order. It is there. It is meant to be known. We can't do anything about it. The more aware we are, the better we operate. For example, last class, I talked about gravity. Gravity is not a matter for belief. Gravity is for matter for knowledge. Right? In fact, Dr. Vishwesharaya, who designed Bangalore, the ancient Bangalore, I live in Bangalore, he designed the roads as up and down, up and down, up and down. All the roads you will see in Bangalore are up and down. And where the up and down meet is where he created the drainage. That's why in the ancient Bangalore, you will see even if there is torrential rain, within 5 minutes, there'll be no blockage of water. All roads are clean, right? Because he knows how gravity works. And he knows he can't do anything about gravity. It's a law. It's an order, right? Same way, if we understand the physical order, the physiological order, the psychological order, the advantage is we interact with the world in a far more intelligent manner. That's all. Because certain things don't change. Certain things don't change. That's it. Right? So at an individual level, it's the reflexes, like the grip reflex, we say, of a child, right? In fact, I would like to give a very powerful example to this. There was a doctor who was a gynecologist. So he was seeing the delivery of a lady. I'm giving a live example. Right, this happened about maybe 7, 8 decades earlier. He was seeing the delivery of a lady, natural delivery, and in natural delivery, the head of the baby is supposed to come out first. But in this case, the hand came out first. Now, according to medical books, if the hand comes out first, it's a complicated case, and either the child or the mother can be saved. That's all. Both cannot live. But this doctor was not only read medical books, he also understood all this natural intelligence pretty well. He was a smoker. As soon as the hand came out, everybody in the operation theater were panicking. He silently put his hand into his coat pocket and pulled out a cigarette lighter and just lit it and touched the little finger of the child. That's it. The moment the fire touches the little finger of the child pulls the hand forcefully inside. Right? In that force, the head came out first. And when the head came out first, the child was saved and the mother was saved. If you look at it carefully, the doctor was not acting intellectually. The doctor was acting intelligently. There's a difference between approaching a problem intellectually and approaching a problem intelligently, right? In fact, when you approach an argument intellectually, you may find certain points to argue. But if you approach it intelligently, you may choose to be quiet. Okay, so I think the doctor operated with intelligence and saved both the mother and why did the child pull the hand forcefully inside when a hot object is touched? That's reflex. That's part of physiological order, which is there in every species around, not only living species, even in non-living species, part of physiological order, right? Third, psychological order. Mental psychology works in a particular way. Psychology, in fact, I am a very great fan when we were giving our inputs to the new education policy to the government. Some of us very forcibly said, at school level, we need to introduce subject of psychology to people. Because people management revolves completely around psychology, knowing the psychology of people, how psychology works. Right? So, psychological order. This is a very beautiful story. I know you would have heard the story a million times. Let me repeat this. A guy was imagining a disease. He was actually not having a disease. He was imagining it. How much ever people told him, no, you don't have a disease, he didn't believe. He went to a doctor and he kept going to different doctors. Finally, one doctor told him, you're right, you have this disease. He said, fantastic doctor, you are the person. All other doctors said, I don't have a problem. This doctor said, you're right, you have this disease. I'm going to give you medication. So he gave him medication and told him, take this medication 3 times a day. But the only condition is when you take the medication, don't think of a monkey. And that's it. He could never take the medicine because every time he took the medicine, his mind popped up saying the doctor said something and the monkey came up. And when the monkey came up, he could not take the medicine. Right? Now, when we talk about psychology, we are talking about how a human mind will work under certain conditions. There is psychology for dogs. You go and ask your behavioral trainer of a dog. I am right now dealing with a behavioral trainer for my pet dog. They work purely with psychology, right? Pavlov's very famous experiment on a dog. Ring a bell and give food. Ring a bell and give food. Then just ring a bell. The dog imagines in the mind that the food will come. That's it. The entire social media, entire advertising world, right? Everything is working only on the psychology and we don't realize. You open WhatsApp to do something. You open WhatsApp to send a message to somebody. And suddenly you see a message from someone which says, don't miss this video. Then immediately you click the video. Then the video is very interesting for 1 minute. Then it gives another link, right? Don't miss this. And for half an hour, we are in that loop without realizing that we actually opened WhatsApp to send a message, right? So I think psychology is an order. That's how things work, right? Like Dr. Vishwesharaya worked with gravity correctly, if we understand psychology, I think we will work with the world in a far more efficient manner. The third order, which is psychological order. Remember, the second order was physiological order. Physiology is different from psychology. Psychology is pure mind. Physiology involves both the body and the mind, right? Fourth order is emotional order. There are only 9 emotions. That's it. Of course, when emotions combine, they become dyads, and when 3 emotions combine, it becomes triads. But they are more subtleties. But I think what is installed into all of us, the the core software is only 9 emotions, right? And how these emotions work. How can anger get provoked? How can sadness get provoked? For example, if there is a death in the family and if 100 people are crying, it's impossible for a person to laugh. Impossible. That's how emotions work. Similarly, when 10 people around you are laughing and having fun, the emotion is you want to know what is happening. That's emotional order, right? You're driving a car. There are lots of beautiful flowers on the sides, but you don't stop the car to watch those flowers. We don't. But there is an accident. Immediately we stop the car and find out what's the accident. Our intention may be to help, doesn't matter. Our intention may be to just know how many people died, doesn't matter. Right? So what attracts us in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, or rather the first Shadgam, the first 6 chapters, the entire focus of Bhagavad Gita is on what is called malam. Malam is impurity. There are 6 impurities Krishna speaks about. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. Right? How do you overcome these 6 impurities? The 6 impurities are there embedded in our system as emotions. You can't do a surgery and remove anger from you. You can remove surgery and remove a hand, but we can't do a surgery and remove ego. We can't do a surgery and remove anger from us. We can't. We need to learn how to manage them, right? And in the first Shadgam, Krishna talks about, right, karma yogena mala nivrittihi. That is basically with karma yoga, you can remove all these impurities from you. He calls it impurities because emotions can also be positive, emotions can also be negative. Okay. Many people think excitement as an emotion is very positive. No, it's not. It can also be negative. As per research, 9 out of 10 startups fail. If you actually analyze the reason why 9 out of 10 startups fail, one of the reasons they don't know, the founders don't know how to handle their excitement. They don't know how to handle their passion. Right? In that excitement, we take decisions which are very wrong decisions. Yeah. Anger must be managed. Even excitement needs to be managed. Same way, we have to talk about the emotional order. For example, you cannot force an emotion onto yourself. That is order. That's a law. You cannot force an emotion onto yourself. Try it out. You try to force anger onto yourself. You try to forcibly love somebody. It won't work. Right? Because that's not how the order is. Like gravity is, it's a magnetic force. It's a pull force. Right? Yeah. It cannot become a push force like electricity. It cannot. So same way, all this malam, the kama, krodha, moha, lobha, mada, matsarya work in a particular way. We must know them. And the moment we know them well, we can operate with the world better. Right? That's why Vedanta as a subject is not philosophy. Vedanta as a subject is very day to day. It is to enhance our effectiveness in this world. It is to enhance the contribution we make to this world. Right? Yeah. So the emotional order is the 9 emotions, and then how those emotions combine together to become dyads and triads, right? And then how it manifests in people, right? Last one is cosmic order. The cosmic order is the dharma and the karma. Right? Law of attraction, as Rhonda Byrne popularized it, right? Is one of the cosmic orders. When corporate companies work for profits and profits only, Cosmic order will take over at some point in time and bring down the company. We have seen this in several cases. Today, in most of these leadership workshops that I conduct to corporate houses, one of the biggest topics that I speak about is purpose without profits or profits without purpose don't make sense. You're running a company. Yes, your objective is to make money. I agree. But how is the world becoming a better place because of the products and services that you offer? Right? Right. The cosmic order will take over at some point in time. So there is a law. Karma, that's why I said karma is not a belief. Karma is a law. Right? There was a post in the morning, a blog in the morning, and the author had explicitly requested me for my comments on that blog. Right? Very, very interesting question. Your person is doing all good today, but he's suffering a lot. Your person is cheating the bank. A person is looting a bank. A person is cheating. A person is telling lies. He's having a fantastic life. Right? How is this explained? A Westerner explains it using a word called luck. No, according to our scriptures, the word luck doesn't exist. According to our scriptures, everything is explained. Right? And everything is explained logically because we understand the law. We understand all the 5 bundles of laws very correctly. Right? We only study in school the physics law, the chemistry laws, and so on. Like water will boil at 100 degrees C. It's a law. Whether you boil it or I boil it, or whether a child boils it, a rich person boils it, poor person boils it, an American boils it, a Westerner boils it, or an Indian boils it. Law. Gravity will work for everybody. That's it. Gravity doesn't have discrimination. Lack of discrimination is a cosmic law. The law applies universally to everybody. It's a law. That's why they said, when a Rakshas, in fact, my daughter asked me this question when she was very young. Yeah, Rakshas is doing tapas and Brahma is coming him and giving him boons. Why can't Brahma simply say, get lost? You are a Rakshas. I will not give you the boon. Why can't Brahma say that? Brahma can't say that because anybody doing tapas will get the benefit of it. It's a law. You can't refuse it. When a terrorist goes and hits a gym, his muscles will grow. When a terrorist practices shooting, he will become skilled. When a normal policeman or a defense person practices shooting, he will become skilled. When you practice, you become skilled is a law. No discrimination, whether it's a terrorist or whether it's a good person. Right? So we must understand how the laws work. Everything is a law. And that law, the entire bundle of laws, is what we call intelligence. So the 5 orders put together, we call it intelligence. Intelligence is very different from intellect. Many people use the 2 words interchangeably, right? For example, eyes have the power to see. It's part of intelligence. It's part of a law. Ears have the power to hear. It's part of the law. Same way, 5 senses work in a particular way. Okay, let's ask this question. Can ears do or any other sense do what eyes can do? Like, for example, can I identify color in any other way other than using eyes? No, I cannot. Eyes is the only tool that can give us what color is. It's law. Right? Ears is the only tool that can make us hear the sound. That's law. All the 5 senses have unique abilities. That is law. Same way, how eyes have the power to see, ears have the power to hear, nose has the power to smell, mind, intellect has the power to understand logic, connect elements and understand and build knowledge. That ability, like the ability of the eyes to see, that ability of the mind to understand is what we call intellect, which means intellect is a proper subset of intelligence. In fact, it's a very tiny subset of intelligence. That's it. Right? When we say IQ, we are talking about intellect quotient or intelligence quotient. I have my own objection to that expansion. What are you measuring in a person? Right? In fact, you see people who have not gone to school and studied, they operate so intelligently with the world because they have understood all this very well. Right? A person is trying out intellectual solution to a problem where somebody else with a lot of wisdom will solve it in a very simpler way and go away. Right? So I think intellect, we need to understand, is a very small, tiny, proper subset of the whole bundle of laws, orders called intelligence. In fact, I'm going to make a statement very slowly. We are right now, we are having an intellectual discussion on intelligence. Right now, you and I are having an intellectual discussion on intelligence because we are trying to understand intelligence logically. We are trying to understand that using our ability, which is the intellect, to build logic together and put things together. Right? Now, these 5 orders, just to recap, there are more orders which we will unfold as we move into the journey. And the entire journey is a very logical journey, right? And it can get very addicting. I can tell it out of personal experience, right? Because there are different types of joys in this world. There is a reason why this this whole group is called Joyful Vedanta, right? There are different kinds of joy, which is called Ananda, right? Vishayananda. Vishayananda is you get joy out of discussing events. What happened in your house, what happened in that house, what happened. So it also gives you joy. Gossiping, right? Gives us a little kind of a joy, right? Called Vishayananda, right? Then there is Ananda associated to Vastus. Vastu in the sense it's objects, right? BMW car, Benz car, this is better, that's better. I have a Benz car, you have only a Maruti car. That's one kind of joy. Then there's something called, Vidyananda, the Ananda that you get out of knowledge, right? Like Archimedes, who was taking a bath and he suddenly discovered something. And when he discovered something, he ran out of the bathroom, not wearing clothes, shouting Eureka, right? So a research scientist who is finding a vaccine for corona gets an aha moment because he found the vaccine, right? So the joy that you get out of knowledge is huge, and that has to be experienced, right? And that is what this journey is about. A very joyful, happy way of understanding this entire universe, and in the process understanding ourselves, right? That's why the tagline also is joyfully evolving into ourselves, right? The tagline of this group is joyfully evolving into ourselves, right? Because evolution is different from growth. So all these 5 orders put together is functioning like what huge software. It's almost like a ERP, you can call it, it's a complete software that seems to be running in this whole cosmos, right? Already programmed and kept without bugs, right? And it's running. You can't do anything about it, right? You don't have access to the code. Yeah. So you can't do anything about it. So it's like a huge software. This huge bundle of software, which is driving the whole thing, is what we call intelligence. And that intelligence is there and within an atom. And that intelligence is there in the whole cosmos. And we say that intelligence is there everywhere. And then we call that intelligence as godliness, right? So when we say there is only God, what we mean is there is only godliness, right? Human mind cannot perceive an abstract thing. So they made everything physical, right? Like they cannot understand energy. They cannot understand law of conservation of energy. The common man, I'm talking about a common man. So they created Shiva, they created Vishnu, they created stories that you can connect with. And you can relate to those people who are there, right? Physically who are there. Right? And then you understand. So there are two ways to, so you make somebody understand real science the scientific way, or you make somebody understand it through stories. The concept remains the same, right? So I think all these orders put together is what we call intelligence, which is manifest in every atom. It's manifest in the whole Jagat. The universe is a very poor substitution for the word Jagat. Jagat is far more meaningful than universe, right? And that intelligence, which is all pervading, which is existing at all times, which is functioning without discrimination, which is functioning without bugs, it is that we call godliness. And then we realize that the godliness exists at all times, at all places, and then we say there is only God, there's nothing else, right? You see color anywhere, that's part of intelligence, right? You see movement anywhere, that's part of intelligence. You see ego anywhere, that's part of intelligence. You see arrogance anywhere, that's part of intelligence. You see kindness somewhere, that's part of intelligence, right? So there is nothing which is existing which is not have an element of manifestation of an intelligence, right? And so this Jagat is very intelligently put together, right? Very intelligently put together, right? Now, in fact, I am in the whole scheme of my program, there are going to be 2-3 sessions on karma and dharma, understanding the cosmic law correctly. There are a couple of sessions which are oriented exclusively towards understanding what kind of bodies. When we say body, what we mean? Physical body alone? Is that the only body, right? Then what is this karana sharira, which is the egg of a person? What is this sukshma sharira, in which we have ego, we have intellect, right? We have all the pranas, the pancha pranas, right? We have the prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. Then the agnis, the fire which is digesting the food in your body. All this is created, right? When we say created, it means it is manifest from an unmanifest form. And that's the same 5 gases and the same 5 agnis which work in every human body. And you can't see them, you can't touch them, right? Yeah. So when we talk about, say, thyroid, it's basically a hormone which is not secreted, right? So what is the connection between the glands, the kind of a system of glands, as compared to the system of chakras that we are talking about? So I think if you carefully see, there is a lot to be understood, and it can be understood, provided we dig it in the correct process, using the correct tools, right? And we can understand. And the moment we understand, the way we operate with this world becomes very, very different. And actually, it becomes very effective, right? So living intelligently simply means not living intellectually alone, understanding all these orders, understanding what will change, what will not change, understanding where our efforts need to be put in, and making correct choices. Very, very important. Let me take an example. A person who understands the whole intelligence correctly will never mess around with ecology. Never. A person who understands this intelligence and cosmic orders very well will never throw plastic in the ocean. Never. Right? A person who understands this intelligence very well will never move away from everyday duties. Right? The Pancha Yajna, we say, what you're supposed to do, the Bhuta Yajna, the Deva Yajna, the Pitri Yajna, the Manushya Yajna, the Pancha Yajnas that we are supposed to do on a daily basis, he or she will not move away from it, because you understand the order, right? Yeah. And a person who understands the order would never walk the path of adharma, right? Because you know the impact of adharma. Yeah. Ethics will be far higher in such a person. Yeah. You won't look for a workaround which is legally acceptable because your ethics is higher than law. Right. So I think if we truly in-depth understand all of this, our lifestyle will change. Our everyday living will change. The way we connect with people will change. And most importantly, the aura that we emit outside, which makes people connect with us, that will change, right? Automatically. So this is the benefit, a very strong benefit of understanding Vedanta in a very structured and systematic manner, right? So living intelligently. Now I'm a little behind time. I wanted to stop at 9:30. It's already 9:31. Uh, just give me about 10 minutes and then I'll open the floor for discussions, right? Because I'm setting the ground for the next session, that introductory session 2, which we will do next Thursday, where I plan to completely unfold the structure of our scriptures. Our scriptures are vast, too vast, right? But there is a beautiful structure, the architecture, right? When we talk about, say, technology, we say architecture of a .NET platform, architecture of SQL Server, architecture of a building, right? We talk about architecture, right? So we also need to understand the architecture of our scriptures. How are our scriptures architected? There's a beautiful logic to the structure of our scriptures. So if I have to unfold it in the next session, how our scriptures are architected, I think some groundwork need to be done today. So which is what I want to do in the next 10 minutes. And then I'll open the floor for discussions, right? Think of everything as energy and vibrations, right? The talk that I'm talking is vibration. Suppose if you are in in-person session, the nodding that you do is vibration, right? Unfortunately, I am not able to see any of those nods, but I'm still assuming, I'm visualizing in my mind that all of you are fully engaged in the session and all of you are smiling, laughing, enjoying yourself, taking notes. I am visualizing all this in my mind. Okay, that's what is keeping me going, because we are on a digital platform, right? Now, your mantra is a vibration. Music is vibration. Percussion is a vibration. Silence is a vibration, right? And vibration causes its own effect on the surrounding. It causes its own effect inside us, right? So we need to understand what are the different ways by which knowledge can be built. Remember, this is the foundation I'm setting for the next session, next Thursday, where I will unfold the story of the architecture of scriptures. Okay, I'm just setting the ground now. What are the ways of knowing knowledge? Right? Well, there are several ways to understand that. I am just talking about one of the most basic fundamental ways which we all use as words on a day-to-day basis, right? When I look at a cat, I know it's a cat. How do I know it's a cat? Because somebody told me it's called as a cat when I was young. So when I learned alphabets, they said A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. And then they showed a picture of cat. And then when a cat passed by, they showed me. And then I realized, using my intellect as a child, that the picture is very same as what I'm seeing here. And so that's called as a cat. I made a mental map, right? So when I see a cat, I know it's cat. And when somebody says cat, I know what to visualize also. This is past knowledge. Past knowledge is accessed instantly. I don't need to refer a book. I don't need to turn multiple pages to know what it is. I know it instantly. This past knowledge, knowing instantly, is what we call instinct. It's processed at a subconscious level. Consciousness is not involved. Our reflexes come from here. And the word past here is not the last 10 years, last 20 years. It can even be before earlier births, right? That's also called past knowledge, right? Like I had knowledge of something before I died in the previous birth, and that knowledge is carried forward. So I have something, and that's why we say instinctly I knew this will not work. Instinct, we use the word instinct, right? So let's understand instinct correctly. It is past knowledge accessed instantly, right? That's called instinct. Let's go to the next level, new knowledge. Right? For example, for some of you, whatever I talked so far can be new knowledge. Some of you need not be, because you've already maybe read about it. I did not know how to solve a quadratic equation. I went to a class and maths teacher told me what is a quadratic equation. He taught me how to solve a quadratic equation. I knew how to solve a quadratic equation. That new knowledge was got. But new knowledge was not got instantly. It was got through analysis and logic, and it took time, right? Like I said something today, 90 minutes I have talked. So if you have picked up some new knowledge, it has taken 90 minutes to get that new knowledge. And it has got through analysis and logic. Here, it is not subconscious mind which is involved. It is conscious mind which is involved. Conscious mind is a higher frequency vibration than subconscious mind, right? That's why I said earlier, please look at everything as a vibration, right? So conscious mind is a higher vibration, higher frequency vibration as compared to a subconscious mind. Right? That's why subconscious mind will store everything as do's and don'ts. Okay, flight or fight, they're all part of subconscious mind. There is no logic involved. The brain is usually not involved there because it is past knowledge accessed instantly. That's it, right? New knowledge, which is got through analysis and logic, through understanding, which is processed by the conscious mind. That's what we call intellect. Intellect is a higher frequency zone as compared to instinct. Okay. Then we go to the third zone. Third zone is a combination of the first two zones. Okay. First zone is past knowledge, instant access. Second zone, new knowledge through analysis and logic, which consumes time. Third zone is new knowledge, instant access, right? Very interesting. That means something I did not know, I knew that instantly. No analysis, no logic, no time consumption. Okay, no explanation. I knew this instantly, right? This to happen, we need to operate, our mind needs to operate at a very high level of frequency, which is what we call superconscious frequency. So subconscious, conscious, superconscious. Superconscious frequency is what we call intuition. Intuition is different from instinct. In fact, many people have a confusion, there. Hopefully that confusion should be resolved today, right? Knowing something instinctively is different from knowing something intuitively, right? Intuition is new knowledge, something you did not know, you knew it today, right? But you didn't analyze anything, you just happened to know it. That's it, right? Every scientist has made discoveries based on intuition. Okay, a lot of scientists have written about it. Yeah, I'm going to provide one specific example here as we move on. Why is this grounding important for us before we go to understanding the architecture of scriptures in the next session? Why? Because the entire Vedas, which is the most basic layer of the scripture, was not understood logically. It was just known to somebody. That's it. Instant access, right? What do you mean by instant access? I just knew it. That's it. This is how it works. How did somebody know about astronomy? How did somebody know about astrology? No telescopes, no supercomputers, no nothing. I close my eyes and I just know it. That's it, right? So how did Vedavyasa understand Vedas? What is the difference between Paursheya and Apaursheya, right? Why do we say Smritis or Paursheya, whereas Vedas are Apaursheya? Why? What is the meaning of that? To understand that in the next session, we need this grounding. We need to know that new knowledge can be got instantly. Something that you did not know, you will know intuitively. Right? In fact, as per species, it's a very biological term I'm using, right? Very consciously I'm using that word. Women have far more intuition than men, and that's part of the law. Right? And men, because of the higher ego, doesn't listen to the women. Right? Part of the law. Right? And a person operating with understanding will operate very differently with the spouse. Right? Because you would like to align to certain natural abilities of somebody. Right? New knowledge got instantly is called intuition. Right? Now, Charles Townes, who won the Nobel Prize for laser and maser technology, Charles Townes, he has written this statement. He said, "It came to me as a sudden revelation." What is that it there mean? It came to me as a sudden revelation, means the truth. The truth came to me as a sudden revelation when I was totally relaxed. What is the total relaxation state that he's talking about? Right? That means mind can be put to a state of total relaxation, which is actually easy to talk about, but very difficult to practice. When your mind is completely empty, calm, new truths hit your mind because you're tuned your mind to a superconscious state, and new truths will come to your mind. It will come. It will come to you. It will come to me. It will come to this Charles Townes. Why? Because it's a law. Because it's a law, it doesn't discriminate. That's it. It doesn't say I'll come only to a scientist and I will not come to a person who has not gone to school. No. No discrimination. It's a cosmic law. So the moment we learn how to handle our mind, we can tune in into superconscious state. And when we tune into superconscious state, new knowledge will hit us instantly. So Charles Townes says, it came to me as a sudden revelation when I was totally relaxed. And then he says, I knew the conclusion, not the steps. Later, I had to work hard to find out the steps to present it to the public, because public does not operate intuitively. Public operates intellectually. That means they are at a lower frequency. For them, they need logic. They need an understanding. Right? In fact, Osho was asked a beautiful question. How do you transcend intellect? Very beautiful question to Osho. How do you transcend intellect? He said, use it well. Right? Only when we use it well, we can transcend it. Right? In fact, I would like to share one of the quotes that I normally share. I'll say it slowly and I'll say it twice. The futility of something can be understood only when the utility of it is experienced fully. Right? This is my understanding of scriptures. So many years of visits to Himalayas. That's what I realized. I realized the futility of something is understood. Futility. The futility of something is understood only when its utility is experienced fully. Right? So how do you transcend intellect? You have to use it well. Then we can understand that intellect itself is a major hurdle for us to move further in life. Right? So this is Charles Townes. Right? There are many evidences. Newton has talked about it. Edison has talked about it. Right? Mathematicians like Archimedes has talked about it. Ramanujan has talked about it. Right? Now, past knowledge, instant access, instinct. New knowledge, understood by logic, intellect. New knowledge, instant access is intuition. And there are higher frequencies, so we need to start tuning our mind to keep moving up. That's why a highly instinctive person who does not use the intellect at all is called as an animal. He behaves like an animal. Why? Because the animal, everything is programmed. And you operate out of the programming. That's all. You don't use your intellect at all. You don't think. A donkey, when you go behind a donkey, it'll kick you. It's programmed to kick. It will not think, he's my boss. Should I kick him now or should I kick him after the appraisal? No. No intellect is involved. Only instinct. So a person who operates through instinct, we normally refer to that person as more like an animal behavior. Very impulsive. Right? A spontaneous person is very different from an impulsive person. Because impulsive and spontaneous both operate instantly. But a spontaneous person is more intuitive, whereas an impulsive person is more instinctive. Right? So I think we need to tune our mind. Are there techniques taught in the scriptures of how to move from instinct to intellect to intuition? Of course, yes. Techniques, very hardcore techniques are taught. In fact, every chapter in Bhagavad Gita ends with what is called sadhana. Sadhana is practice. What are the things you need to practice to reach there? Right? And these are practical techniques that can be learned, and by practice you become skilled. Right? In fact, no chapter in Bhagavad Gita ends without sadhana tips. So I think this understanding is important, because when we come next week to understand architecture of scriptures, we will know how somebody understood the whole thing intuitively, right? And then start writing it down, right? And because there was no technology to write it down that time, they passed it on to somebody. And how did they pass on those vast knowledge to somebody without a writing tool, without a computer? We'll see all that in detail, in a very logical, structured manner in the next session.